So, what's up, Jeff? Good to have you on, brother.
Nice to be here, Mike.
Thanks, man. Thanks. All right, so kind of a hot topic you've been hearing a lot about, a lot of buzz around, is the 2-to-1 buy down, right?
Absolutely.
Explain a little bit to myself and anyone who's listening what exactly a 2-to-1 buy down and how can it be used specifically to make a listing more attractive to potential buyers out there.
Okay, so from my understanding, the 2-to-1 buy down is fairly simple. The sellers offer this to the buyers, and it'll be something that you want to put into your MLS listing so that the buyers know that this is something that the seller is going to be offering. And what happens is you have a particular interest rate, let's just say 7%, okay? You know, where market currently is roundabout.
Sure.
And the first year, we'll give you a 2% reduction in your interest rate. So instead of taking 7% for year one, you'll have 5% for year one. Year two, you'll get a 1% reduction in your interest rate. So instead of 7%, you'll have 6%.
Wow.
And then year three, on the right after the 24th month, you're going to go right back to your 7% interest rate and make your normal payments.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, it could be a much better tool than a price reduction, especially in this kind of cooling off market. Instead of having to reduce the price, you can put this in the listing and it instantly becomes more attractive because you can now offer something to use that will make it more affordable to buyers. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean,
Awesome.
I'd love to go over a couple of
So
scenarios.
I have some more questions. I got
All
some more
right.
questions. So, is there a particular minimum credit score you have to have?
Yeah, so the minimum credit score is going to be 680. You have to have a 680 FICO to use this.
Okay, great. What about who gives the credit actually? Can it come from the buyer themselves, or can it come who actually gives the concession or the credit?
So it has to come from either the seller or the builder. The buyer is not allowed to do it themselves.
Understood. And where is it held? Where's that money held?
So the money is held in a separate escrow account. So the sellers or the builders would take that specific dollar amount that we're going to speak about in a minute, and they're going to put it into a separate escrow account. So nobody could touch it.
Got it. And what happens if I want to refinance or sell the first 2 years?
That's a great question. So if you refinance or you sell within the first 24 months, and that money that the seller has put into escrow, they'll get that refunded to them. So
You get that money back.
the seller will get that money back if they buy or they refinance, correct?
Wow. Great. So this is essentially a hedge, or basically a bet, that you're confident that rates are going to go down within the first two years.
Absolutely. I think that if rates do go down, you have the opportunity to refi, getting the lower rate, and the seller, whatever money they put into that escrow account, they get it back to them. So there's no risk.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. In certain scenarios, this could be amazing, but there are still going to be scenarios where you can use that same credit to just buy down the interest rate permanently, especially if you think you're going to stay there long term.
Correct.
Right?
But that money that you're going to be using typically won't get you down as far
Sure.
that this temporary buy down is going to get you.
Right. Got it. Can we go over some real life scenarios? Let's say using the 7%.
Okay.
Right? Does a $500,000?
$500,000 loan amount? Okay.
$500,000 loan amount, right? Can we go with a real life scenario on what those numbers would look like, and how much the potential savings would be, and how we could really execute this in real life, or how an agent can execute this in real life?
Yeah, so I've ran some numbers, and let's just call it $550,000 purchase.
Okay.
10% down, so your loan amount is $500,000. You're effectively borrowing $500,000. Interest rate is 7%. Year one, your interest rate is going to be 5%. So every single month in year one, you're going to be saving $650 per month.
Wow.
Year two, when you go from 5% to 6%, you're going to be saving right around $340 per month.
Got it.
And then year three, you go right back to the 7% rate that you were originally quoted, or, God willing, you refinance and you get a lower rate permanently.
Sure. So what's the total potential savings?
Total potential savings is somewhere in the ballpark of $12,000 on that scenario. It's like $11,700 and change.
That's a lot of savings.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot. That's amazing. Yeah. And it really can make something way more attractive if you have a listing out there, then it kind of separates it from the pack.
100%. Think about you're a seller and you want to get your house sold and you want top dollar for your house. So instead of giving a price reduction for, let's say, 10 or 15,000,
more sometimes, right?
You add that into the description of the MLS, and it tells a buyer, I'm really serious about selling my house, and I'm willing to give you a credit of $12,000 that you're going to save over 2 years on that particular scenario. I think it's a strong way to get your house sold.
Wow. Awesome. And it has to be in the contract or in a separate addendum?
Correct. So you can either negotiate that, your agent on the buy side can negotiate that right up front, or you can put it into a separate addendum. So either way, however your attorney or your agent who's writing the contract, however they want to do it, but it has to be in the purchase contract.
Got it. All right. Well, thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Of course.